Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. I, as always, am Dallas, one of your hosts, wearing number 9, Justin Tucker of the Baltimore Ravens.
On the other half, Brendan, wearing 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
Awesome. Well, we're hoping a really great episode for you guys. You might have to bear with us a little bit. I know Brendan's feeling a little under the weather. I am exhausted and had kind of a rough night at work, but we are going to do our best. We're going to kick things off, obviously, with breaking news, get into our games of the week. We're going to talk about some changes coming. Flock's Nest, we're going to try and do things a little differently as we've been learning, tweak some stuff. Going to talk some college football and might have a quarterback debate, but we'll see where the day takes us. Brendan, do you want to kick us off with changes to Flock's Nest? What our viewers can expect?
Yeah, so some really fun changes are going to happen. So first of all, we're going to start doing TikTok clips. Those will be both on our TikTok channel, which is, I believe, at Flock's Nest. And then our YouTube will also get those shorter clips. They will be taken directly from the longer podcast section. So the one you're watching right now, there'll be little clips from that. If you don't want to sit through the whole podcast and want to watch little clips from it, those will be available on our TikTok and our YouTube. I will link the TikTok down below in the description. Also, follow our Twitter account. That is also at Flocksnest. That is where you're going to get any updates on games. We try to repost any news we see. We try to give you an update during the games, how we feel, how we're feeling after the games. So that's the Twitter account is kind of where you're going to get most of our updates and news from us. And then last but not least is you're going to get more videos from us. We're going to start doing like an actual game preview. We've been doing the small ones on the longer podcast, but now we're going to change to start doing them on themselves. So you can expect those between Friday and Saturday, and they'll just be Dallas will talk like the Ravens game. I'll talk the Seahawks game. There'll be separate videos, and they'll go up Friday or Saturday depending on the situation. But there'll be like actual in-depth previews with injury updates, what we expect from the game, who is expected to play, like an actual in-depth preview. We think doing an actual preview is going to be really fun and something that I think viewers will enjoy more than just us talking for like 2 minutes on a preview.
Yeah, we tend to rush through that part of it because we spend so much time on the other stuff. And it'll be, I will have my own video and you will have your own video. It's not us together. But yeah, like I said, we're just trying to kind of broaden the podcast a little bit, get a little bit more content out there for you guys. I know we say it at the end of every episode, but you guys, please talk to us. Comment. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear about? We're so open to stuff. Let us know if you're liking it, if you think we should do things differently. We're not sensitive people, I promise. I'd prefer no hate, but at the end of the day, somebody say something. um, so yeah, hopefully these changes are good. I know we're looking to start them this week with this episode and launching our clips and our previews and everything. So it should be fun, should be exciting. And yeah, we'll just keep rolling, keep trying to make things better as the weeks come.
Yeah. On to actual football
Actual
talk.
breaking news.
Unfortunately, during the Cowboys and Lions game,
You
defensive
told me not
end,
to. I watched it.
yeah, defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, who has been playing on a defensive player of the year type trajectory this year, has unfortunately sustained a really significant broken, I believe, fibula
Tibia.
and it was a tibia too.
Wow. Yeah. I know it was at least the tibia.
Yeah. and it required surgery. He's probably out for the remainder of the season.
Yeah.
It is a huge blow to the Lions, who I think have been playing incredibly good football. And he's probably their best player on that team. So I'm really unfortunate to hear that Hutchinson will probably be out for the remainder of the season. Um, who knows? He might be back for like the late playoffs, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't hold out hope.
I feel so bad. We don't like injuries. We've talked about that. I never want anybody to get seriously hurt or hurt at all. But the climb this team has been on over the past 3 years, and the performance he's put out there has
Yeah,
been incredible. And to have that happen in that moment, in how to put this, what is probably wildly unnecessary.
yeah.
Like, we may talk about this game a little bit more later. He probably didn't need to be out there.
He did it earlier in the game, though. That was really the issue.
I just think, like, you knew how it was going. We could have maybe let up a little bit.
Well,
That's not the Lions mentality. I have a
and
lot of respect for it. We are going to talk about that mentality and my respect and all of that when we talk my game of the week, cuz it's going to come up.
oh,
Um
yeah, and
but I felt so bad. I think the Lions are tough. I don't think I've seen some theories floating out there if they make a push for Crosby. I don't think the Lions are going to do anything to supplement the loss.
they did send somebody off a practice squad.
Yeah,
They signed
but
Isaiah Thomas off the Browns practice squad.
that's to fill a hole.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be the extent of it. Lions are really into homegrown talent right now. But yeah, I feel really bad for him. I would say probably out the whole year. That's an intense injury.
Mm-hmm.
And it's intense when they classify it as emergency surgery. And that's what it was. And he went in
Yeah.
that day to get it repaired. I know he is still in Dallas
And
as of this morning. So
I did just confirm real quick. It is a broken tibia.
yeah,
I just wanted to make sure.
I was pretty confident.
I thought he had
Um,
a couple, but I think it is just the tibia.
so yeah, real bummer for him. Bummer for the Lions. I know they'll feel it, but I think they'll keep rolling. They're having a great season and they're playing really well. And they just laid a giant FU. So
Yeah. I mean, that whole game was just a.
that was an FU. We're gonna talk about it.
Oh yeah. I'm. I, I should have.
Because
I should have made
I
that.
felt like last week and this week there were two teams that just went F you.
I realized I should have
And
picked that for my game of the week.
they were my pick.
That's why I should have.
And then I swapped it to
Because
freaking Bills Jets
you
because of
swapped.
Salah.
I should have swapped to that.
Yeah, you should have swapped. Um,
But
I do think we're getting ready to have an overlap conversation potentially, so we'll see how that goes.
yeah. All right. You want to go into Ravens?
Yeah. So Ravens versus Washington Commanders. Sorry, blanking. Pooh. Confirming the score. Yeah, 30-23. I didn't get to watch this game live. I did, however, while we had service, have my driving partner constantly giving me updates. At one point, she was trying to give me a play-by-play. I was like, "Stop it, because you are messing so much stuff up." But I was getting updates, and then I did watch it yesterday. I did watch the whole game yesterday. Here's the thing. We're at a point in the season. I don't think it makes sense to break down every aspect of the game. Like, we get it. They played football. Um there are things I want to talk about. but I'm not gonna necessarily get into the finer minutia points. So I hope that works for the viewers, and I hope this works for Brendan because he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Um, they did last week and this week. They had a different O line structure. Voorhees was out last week. He was cleared to play this week. He did not still. They kept the same lineup with Makari and Rosengarten and Falale in. I thought they looked really good. I think, barring anything major, or maybe we see that Voorhees is better at certain things, I kind of think this is going to be the structure moving forward. They're playing at a really great level. Lamar is having plenty of time to throw. He's also been protected very well. They are reading Henry really well, and I think that's a really big selling point. They're opening the holes for him, which has been great. Um, to see where this unit started at the beginning of the year to where they are now, I'm really happy with, really impressed with. Lamar obviously looked really good. I think 332 passing yards, like 50 on the ground. He's playing at a really elite level. I know a lot of talk shows say right now, if the vote happened, he would be MVP. I'm a little intrigued by that because the people saying it are the people that do vote at the end of the year. I do think, one, it's a little early.
Yeah.
Two, I just don't. I think it would take something incredible for him to even really be in the conversation because of the playoff. So I just don't. I don't think there's a really good chance that he'll be the MVP. It would take something super impressive. Um, I talked a little bit about identity last week. I think this is officially who the Ravens are, and more importantly, who they want to be. Um, we're seeing they are still a run first team with Derek and Lamar and Justice Hill, and when they get Keaton back, this is who they want to be. But they replaced Roman for a reason, and it was to improve the pass game. It was to elevate the pass game because Harbaugh knew that Roman wasn't getting the most out of Lamar. So to see that kind of come to fruition, I thought it did last year. I thought we saw his pass game really well last year, but then the kind of playoffs happened, and there are concerns of, can you win when you're down? Can you hold the lead? Can you do these things? And he's showing that, and this offense is showing that. We're seeing Zay really break out. He did finally have a touchdown pass to Mark Andrews, which I was really excited by. It was definitely his moment. If you watch the post-game press conference, he actually apologized to Mark for last week. He's like, he had an open one in Cincinnati, and he didn't say anything, but I was pretty confident he was mad at me. So he made sure he got him one this week. It was great to see. It's great to see that connection kind of coming back. So that's been awesome. Um, the Ravens are currently the number one offense in the NFL. That's great. I am not sold, I guess, just yet. Like, I have faith in my team. I have faith in the Ravens. I think they're a good team. I think Harbaugh is a great coach. Lamar's a great quarterback. All of these things. I cannot be so hypocritical that I dog other players or other teams when you face crap defenses and then you win. Like, Cincinnati doesn't have a good defense. The Commanders don't have a good defense. Cowboys don't have a good defense. Like,
No.
all of these things are true. So while I think the offense is playing really well, I need to see more. I need to see you play a team with more oomph. Um, I'm hoping that'll be next week, but I'll get into that more, I guess, during my preview. Oh, and then we did see, I don't know if it's come up since, but I did see my first hip drop tackle penalty against Lamar and the Ravens. I'm less convinced it was a hip drop. The rules analyst said it was clearly, it met the criteria. It looked like a jacked up tackle. I just didn't think it was a hip drop. He had him kind of by the back of the jersey pads and then fell into the back of Lamar's legs. So he brought him backwards. But it was the first time I'd seen the penalty since they made the rule change. I definitely thought it was appropriate. I also appreciated it, given that I have kind of knocked refs for not. They don't call the penalties on Lamar because they're like, well, he's a runner. Which is gonna bring me to the next point. Is there was a moment Lamar was running for the first down, clearly giving himself up to step out of bounds, and a Commanders player just checked the crap out of him to hit him out. It's not technically a late hit because he was still in bounds, but he was clearly giving himself up. Not really the point I'm trying to make. It's not a penalty. I don't care. When there are fights in training camp, guys will come off the sideline and they'll put on their helmet ready to fight. I can't think of his first name, so I do apologize. But a defensive player right after Lamar got hit out of bounds put on his helmet ready to kind of fight, and the entire Ravens bench really just went to Lamar's defense. The reason I bring this up, last year they were, without a doubt, statistically across the board, the best team in the NFL. Defensively, they were doing great things. They were moving the ball really well offensively. I felt like, though, last year they were two separate teams. You had the Ravens offense and the Ravens defense, and they operated within their own sphere. This year, I'm really seeing them kind of act as one team. The offense and defense are talking to each other more than I've ever seen. Lamar's going over and hyping up the defense. The defense is coming over and talking to Lamar, talking to Derrick Henry. Just on the sideline, they feel like a complete team. And to see Lamar get hit and then his offensive lineman not be the first to kind of protect him, but a defensive player do it, just kind of elevates to me what this team is and where they're going. And I think it says a lot about the culture in Baltimore right now. So I was really excited about that. Moving on to just the defensive side of the ball. I'm seeing improvement, but not at the rate I would like it. I feel like this game, I felt like we let the run get away from us a little more, being so focused on the pass. They did really well at keeping Jaden contained. I was concerned about that with the Commanders. When you have a mobile quarterback, and that's the defense you sees every day in practice, you tend to do well against mobile quarterbacks. So I had the fear that it would translate with the Commanders. Lamar's just kind of built different. And you add Henry to the mix. Washington's a young team. Henry's a scary dude to see rushing at you. So I give no discredit there. It's just kind of true. But they did a good job of keeping Jaden contained. They did well against the pass. It was one of the least amount of points that Washington's been able to put up in a game. But I do still think there's definitely improvement to be had there. Special teams, Tucker was perfect across the board. Field goals, PATs, didn't miss a one. I really think we kind of got the yips out or whatever struggles we were having. I thought he looked really good. I was happy there. I am going to my offensive player is mildly cheating because it does come from a special teams play. But I am giving it to Ben Cleveland. He's a guard, but he got a field goal block, which the Ravens tend not to get a whole ton. So I can give praise to Lamar. I can give it to Henry. but every part of this was on Cleveland. He went to Harbaugh a couple weeks ago and was like, "Hey, I have this idea on how I could do this." Harbaugh said, "Hey, get it flushed out, come back to me." Cleveland went, "I got it. I know exactly how to do this. I know how to get this blocked." Harbaugh put him in. He went in. He executed his plan, his idea, and he did it. So I thought that was really impressive. Harbaugh was like, that was his play, start to finish. So I am giving Offensive Player of the Game to Ben Cleveland, just because he is technically an offensive player. Defense, I'm going to go Kyle Van Noy. He is playing at a hell of a level this year. He's averaging 2 to 2.5 sacks a game. I know everyone was really worried about the pass rush after we lost Clowney and all of these other things. And for Van Noy to be at the age he is and playing at the level he is has been really impressive. He brings it for every game, every drive. He doesn't give up. He really does have a fractured face right now, and he's like, I don't give a crap. Um, he's just kind of feasting on the backfield, and I'm loving it. So he does get my game ball of the week for defensive. I do want to move on really quickly. I think Brennan and I might overlap in this regard
We
to
will.
Jim Harbaugh's post game press conference. Depending on what you saw or what you didn't see, uh, Jim cut his press conference short
John.
because John, I'm sorry. Wow. Um, my note says Jim because it's, well, yeah.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh cut his press conference short because Jim Harbaugh was taken to the medical tent of the Broncos game. I'll let Brennan get into that. He is okay, but that's his brother. So the team was like, hey, you will talk to them again Monday, or you can come back. We believe you'll want to step away. So he did cut his press conference short. He did have an early one Monday. That did have an undertone to it. A family friend of the Harbaugh passed away, so they were going to a funeral. Um, so just some kind of lighter news on or heavier news on the Ravens, but Jim is okay. The family seems to be doing okay with their loss, as okay as they can be. So, you know, probably kind of be back to football Tuesday and Wednesday, but the team is very understanding right now. There's been a lot of loss for this team this year, and they're taking each day as it comes, and each game, and each rep, and each moment with each other. So hopefully that continues. Um, Injury news. Hopefully Arthur Millette will practice this week. Um, Voorhees is okay. He is cleared. They just wanted to keep the same lineup. And then Harbaugh did talk about Keaton. There's no real update, but they do still project him to be back this season. So that kind of does it for Ravens Commanders. It wasn't some, offensive juggernaut like the Cincinnati game was. It wasn't a defensive blowout, but it was a solid win. And for a team that started 0-2 to go on a 4-game run has been impressive.
Hmm.
And we are starting to see this team become who and what they want to be. So I'm excited. I'm always I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been I feel like the Ravens are that team, no matter what's going on, they're just quiet. They're like, I'm going to do me, you do you, and we'll all be fine. But I think because of last year and the run they went on, the media is a little bit more hyper focused on them this year. And, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But it was a good win. He is now 22-1 versus the NFC. So, and I would just like to note that there is no quarterback that has ever dominated a conference the way he does right now. So I just think it's a fun. It doesn't matter in the slightest. I would really like one of those wins to happen in the Super Bowl. That will be my like. I think if you go 23-1 and one of them's a Super Bowl win, cool. If you go 22-2, kind of thing, or like a 25-2, but a loss was the Super Bowl, it's more like a 6-4 kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think it just changes. It changes things.
Okay.
All right. Well, do
I'm
you want to talk to us about Seattle, or
yeah.
did you have thoughts on the Ravens game?
I unfortunately was not able to watch any of the Ravens games, so
Okay.
I saw the final
So no
score,
thoughts.
kind of saw what happened, and went, well, it was just a good game.
Yeah,
It wasn't high scoring, wasn't low scoring, was just solid. Um, yeah, I unfortunately was not able to watch it, so
that's fair.
don't have a ton of thoughts on it. I did have the displeasure of watching this next game. Well, watch some of the next game. Seahawks 49ers. Seahawks lose 24-36. Where to start? We'll start with the offense. The O line continues to be an issue. That's no surprise. You have a third string right tackle playing and a Jets offensive lineman playing and a second year player playing. And there are issues currently. Lincoln Tomlinson hasn't been good. Bradford hasn't been that good. Christian Haynes has been. They've been swapping in at the right guard position. They've been doing like swapping in Christian Haynes, the third round pick this year, for Anthony Bradford. They have been doing that during the games. Um, Haynes looks better, but is also a rookie, so he has moments. But they have not made that change yet. I would like them to. I would like them to make a couple changes on the offensive line. Considering this team is just getting worse currently. You started the season 3-0. You are now 3-3 with three really bad losses. You kind of get blown out by the Lions. You then proceed to lose at home to the Giants, and then now losing at home prime time to the 49ers, who you haven't been able to beat in like 6 years. Or no, it's like 6 attempts. Don't really remember. But like, haven't been able to beat the 49ers in a while. So I would like them to make some changes, make the offensive line younger, because Tomlinson and Bradford just aren't getting it done. Um, and then there's really nothing you can do at the right tackle position right now, unfortunately. There is no getting better if you go younger. So the O line continues to be an issue. They've given up the most pressures of any O line in the league, and it showed you this week as well. Bosa was just ruining that offensive line. It it wasn't good. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't. It was just not great. Not great. Um, Geno Smith had the worst game of the season, of his season, I should say. Two interceptions, one touchdown. I think 300 yards passing, which sounds good, but then you look at the two interceptions he threw, and they were not good. They were not it. The first one on the first drive of the game gets them to the red zone and throws an interception, um, going for a touchdown to Tyler Lockett. Probably not the best decision he's made. Just gets picked off, and then on the second one, he shares blame. DK Metcalf ran changed his route midway through it. Now I'm not sure because the Seahawks have talked about having option routes for DK, where if he notices certain coverages, he's allowed to improvise a little bit and run a certain route. That is something they worked on that actually had the touchdown in the Miami game. Is he noticed a certain coverage, ran a route to beat that coverage, got the touchdown. I don't know if that's what happened on this play or if he just decided midway through the play to change his route. Um, because Geno Smith threw it for one route, Metcalf on the other, and it was easily picked off. late in the game with a chance to go down and tie, or a chance to go down and at least keep it close. So just not great things there from Geno Smith. But when your play caller is calling 50 pass plays a game, isn't establishing the run, and you have a terrible offensive line, the fact that he's making all this work right now, I'll give him credit. This is the worst game of the season. He tends to have that against the 49ers. I don't know what it is about the 49ers. I'm not really sure, but he tends to not play well against them. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so he can only go up from this game, I feel like. He has been playing really well this season, so one bad game for me isn't end all be all, I guess. But I would have liked to see him play a little better, because I think if Geno Smith plays better this game, Seahawks have a chance. The score is definitely not a 12-point difference if Geno Smith plays just a hair better. He had accuracy issues. He had issues with the interceptions. He just didn't play a game. I will give the offense credit. They continue to show. I'll give this team credit. They do at least try to the final whistle, whether it's good or not. They at least still go out there and attempt to continue. You saw it with the Lions game. You saw it with the Jets game, or not, the Giants game. And you saw it with this game, with the offense going out there and at least attempting to get shit done. But just not good enough. Hasn't been good enough the last 3 games. The defense especially, but we'll get to that here in a second. I'm having real issues with Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, right now. I was kind of hoping that the Lions game was like your welcome to the NFL moment. If you can't throw the ball 50 times and expect to succeed when you have Kenneth Walker. This game, they at least did try. I think Walker had like 20 attempts on the ground, only had 30 yards rushing. The Seahawks as a team had like 56. It was not good. So I am having issues with Grubb's play calling, not establishing the run early, not establishing the run at all. Part of that is the offensive line isn't great, but you have Kenneth Walker, so you should be able to make stuff happen with the run game. The pass heavy offense right now just isn't working. It worked mildly for the first 3 games, but you were playing pretty meh defenses those 3 games. You're playing meh teams those 3 games. Against good teams, it just hasn't been working. I would really like them to start changing it up, doing some new stuff, but we'll see. It's just been the past 3 games, and this one especially has just been kind of a shit show on both sides of the ball. On defense, the defense is struggling. It's not good right now. They're struggling with the run. The run defense continues to be a problem. You know, for a fact, the 49ers, late in the game, 49ers have the ball. Seahawks are down 7. Seahawks need to stop. You know, for a fact, they are running the football. And the Seahawks get ran right down the middle for like 70 yards. They're lucky it didn't end in a touchdown. It did end in a touchdown technically, but that run didn't end in a touchdown because Devon Witherspoon ended up making a tackle, and the 49ers player, like after kind of getting his ankles hit, did just kind of hit the ground, burn some more clock. Kind of a smart play from him. Make sure you go down inbounds. You can burn more clock, burn the Seahawks timeouts, really ice the game. But the run defense has really been an issue. Part of that is the linebackers right now. They're struggling with their run fits. They're not hitting the gaps they should be hitting. It's clear if you watch all 22 tape. I have not watched the all 22 tape from this game. It only came out yesterday, and I was a little bit busy. But from what I have seen, they're still struggling to hit the right gaps, and it's causing running backs to get to the second level, and once they hit the second level, that's already them getting 5, 6 yards, and if you don't stop them there, they break it for a big gain. It's been an issue. The linebackers just need to play better. Safeties wise, they haven't been playing well either. On Debo Samuel's touchdown, Julian Love took a really bad angle at the ball. Debo just had to catch it, make him miss. Um, he did, and it was off to the races. I'll give Boye Mafe credit. He damn near ended up catching Debo Samuel, which I think is more of a slight on Debo Samuel. I don't know how you let a defensive lineman nearly catch you, but whatever. He didn't. He ended up scoring a touchdown. So I mean, like I can't talk too much shit, but you know, Love just I didn't feel like played great. Jenkins has been really. They've both safeties have been really hit hot or cold this year. These last 3 games, I really feel like they've been struggling. For Jenkins, it's really unfortunate. He ended up having to play corner in this game for a little bit. I'll get to the injury news later, but he ended up having to step in and play a little bit of nickel corner, with injuries. And then just some quick news because it did happen yesterday. The Seahawks have made a trade. Um, they traded for Roy Robertson Harris, the defensive tackle from Jacksonville. They're giving up a 6th-round pick for this. I actually really like this move. The depth at defensive line has been kind of shaky here. The Seahawks, that's part of the reason they're getting ran on so much. I will say the defensive line isn't entirely to blame for that, but they have been. So I think bringing him in is a pretty just solid depth piece. He's been the minimal bright spot on Jacksonville. Has 2 sacks, a couple QB hits, a couple tackles for a loss. Has been playing just solid football there in Jacksonville. Unfortunately, he has to have a 10-hour flight back to the United States because they are currently in London, and they will be as well next week. So, he gets to come back a little early, but has to deal with the flight and then has to get ready for the Seahawks next game. So we'll see if he's in the lineup. He should be. We'll see how much playing time he actually gets after only being with the team for 3 practices. Because I don't think he'll practice today after only getting back late yesterday. We'll see though. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's a good trade. I do like it. I think they should make some other moves if they really want to compete this year. But that's remain to be seen. I guess we'll see what they decide to do. There's one move I'm thinking of that will really help this team, but I doubt they make it.
What are you thinking? Talk to
Jada-
us. Tell us.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Ah,
The Seahawks need a big edge. They don't have anybody that's really strong, long, and can play the deep run defense. And the way McDonald had Clowney playing in Baltimore, I think that's just a good fit right there. Can be your
Carolina is not doing what I think he had hoped they would do this year.
yeah. And that's I think you could get him for cheap.
All right, well, if it happens,
But
you heard it here first, folks.
I don't think it will, but I think with this trade, I don't think that happens, but
That's fair.
we will see. Injury news, not great. Tariq Woolen didn't play in the game with an ankle injury. I think he was missed, but whatever. Trey Brown left the game. I don't remember with what. I haven't been able to find it either. Left the game with I think a lower body injury. So that was 2 of our starting corners not playing. So the only starting corner that was playing in the game was Devon Witherspoon. It was him out there with Artie Burns and Demaya Pritchett at one point, And then Artie Burns ended up leaving the game, I also believe, with a lower body injury. And then it turned into two Seahawks, the Seahawks having two corners and then three safeties on the field, with Rashawn Jenkins playing a lot of nickel corner, kind of subbing in and out with Kayvon Wallace. Um, the corner, the secondary just got beat to hell that game. I don't know what it was, but Witherspoon was like the only corner playing. Nemanja Pritchett, I thought, played all right, considering he's a rookie that hasn't played a ton of snaps. So there is room for like optimism there, and I think Witherspoon's still playing really good football right now. I think he's been the only bright spot, one of the only bright spots on this struggling defense. But we'll see. Um, with the secondary being as injured as it is, that's something to watch out for next week. Hopefully, I'll have more information when we do the like actual preview on who's expected to play and who's going to be out. But we'll see. And then Byron Murphy was still out this game with that hamstring. I think he should be back here soon, but we'll see. If not, it'd be a little interesting to me considering they had an IR spot open, and he's coming up on. I believe this will be game 3 he's missed this next week. Oh no, this will be game 4 against the Falcons. So if he misses this next game, I don't really understand why you didn't put him on IR, but it is what it is. That's really it for the injury news in this with the Seahawks. Just final thoughts. My game balls, I guess, go to on the defensive side, Leonard Williams. I think he's just playing really solid. Again, bright spot. He looked unblockable at times against the 49ers. Had a TFL, had a couple tackles. He just looked good. Didn't have a sack, but he was close a couple times. Really pressured Purdy. He's been looking solid. And then offensively, I'll probably give it to Tyler Lockett. Had a touchdown. Had the most receiving yards on the team. Four catches. He looked all right. With the team struggling this much, it's kind of hard to pick.
Yeah.
Game balls, but I'd probably go with those two.
I watched a little bit of it. We had it on and then turned it off.
I realized I forgot to mention special teams. Special
Go.
teams has been a roller coaster of one play, they'll fumble the ball away. And this happened in this game. They fumbled. 2 kicks later, they returned it for a touchdown. That's just kind of been how special teams is this year without the explosive returns. A lot of mistakes, a lot of issues. This is the first game where they've done something really explosive. I do think it's interesting because they are taking a very interesting approach on kickoffs. And I've only seen the breakdown of it recently, of them doing something really different. They have made the decision on only blocking certain people, which I think is weird. They allow one, so they essentially do it to where they only block the outside. So they'll let one, because the math works out to where one guy is left free. So they try to pick who they let do it. They try to pick an unathletic player, someone that's just not as good at tackling, to leave one-on-one with their kick returner. And if he makes him miss, then it is an explosive return. And that's what we're ending up seeing this week, is he made the guy miss, return it for 97 yards. So it's risky in terms of, you're letting one free guy go. If he makes a tackle, you're stopped a little short. But if it works out and your blocks hold up, you're looking at really explosive returns. So it is an interesting concept of trying to control what you can control.
Yeah.
On the play. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the year because it's the first time we've really seen it work. But special teams wise, it has just been kind of a roller coaster on punt and kick returns. Kicking wise, it's been fine. Punting wise, it's been fun, but the returns have been kind of a up and down for most of the year.
Yeah, I didn't watch a ton. Um, the thing I took the most note of whilst watching, I think defensively, like you're so beat up right now. You're so injured.
We're not though. That's the issue.
I thought you were.
Going into the
You
game,
just told me you had a bunch of like safeties
going
and
into
corners.
the game, we were only out. Going into the game, we were only out 3 people.
And that's I just like your D line had been hurt. Like I just
Yeah,
feel like your defensive unit hasn't been able to like play together and mesh, and especially with it being so early in the season. And then offensively, I don't know a team in the NFL that has success with like no running game.
yeah,
I'm not saying you have to be the Ravens, um, but you have to have a run game going. Even your pass heavy quarterbacks, they need a run game. 50 attempts is outrageous. There's no need for it. Hopefully, hopefully you guys get it figured out. You know, it was a it was not a great game.
no, it's not been. It's kind of been a shit show, but hopefully they start turning it around.
Alrighty. Well, I will move on to Jets versus Bills. Um, I want to preface this a little bit. I had debated talking about the Sala situation. And I'm going to be honest, I'm still debating it as we record this and as I'm supposed to be talking about it. I think I know what happened.
It's 2 weeks in a row, Dallas. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row.
What?
The Raiders have traded Devontae Adams to the Jets.
Okay. That works out because we're talking about the Jets. So let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do this. I don't. Here's the thing. Here's so many things. It's insane. This is insane. This is insane. I don't.
Um,
Who? Why?
really quickly,
What?
um,
Yeah.
it is a 2025 third round pick that is
Okay.
conditional, and it can
Yeah.
become a second round pick.
Okay.
I don't know what the conditions are, but yeah,
It's probably playing time in production.
yeah, it's performance based.
Um. I can't even give an opinion on this without talking about this game.
Just talk about the game, and then we'll get to the player.
So I I have my opinion on what I think happened between Sala and the team and all of these things. At the end of the day, though, the most important factor is I think Woody Johnson is a terrible owner. Let's just put that out there. It's not good. It There's no concept of like how to operate an NFL team. Is seems to be my understanding. Um, as for Sala, whether you're a good head coach or not, I have no idea. I do not think you were the right coach for the Jets. I believe when a team has been a joke for the better part of my lifetime, which the Jets have been, you need a very specific type of person that can build a culture, a winning culture, and have success. We talked about the Lions earlier. I think that is a great example. Dan Campbell is a very specific type of person. He's a former player. He's kind of your atypical man's man. He's tough, he's physical, and that is the kind of team he built. And that's the kind of team he's hyped up. And that comes with its own problems. I think there have been moments that I've questioned his decision making or his play calls or whatever. Sometimes I think his ego gets in the way. But he took a team that was 2-15 and have dragged them from the depths of hell to the NFC Championship with a B at quarterback.
Yeah.
It just takes a specific person. I don't think Saleh was that person. I don't think he's the kind of person that can go in and establish that kind of culture. However, with all of that being said, he was the best coach on your staff. End of story. The defense was playing just fine. Typically, when you see mid-season coaching changes, it's culture-based or it's locker room based. A coach has lost the locker room. So what happens 95% of the time is after you fire a head coach midseason, the next week that team goes out and dominates. I think it's like 101-11. It's outrageous. Interim coaches almost always win their first game. Teams rally, players go above and beyond. It's kind of like their apology for like, hey, we haven't played well, so this is what happened. So now we're going to play as hard as we can, as good as we can. And they fight to the very end. That did not happen against the Bills. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It felt like they slept walk through this game. The defense was like, we're just here, y'all. We're just here. Offensively, they changed play callers. They did not fire Nathaniel Hackett, but he is now up in the booth, and someone else is play calling. That's what Saleh wanted to do as well. It didn't seem to matter. It was still as uncreative as it's been. There's still no motion. They still rely on the hard count. You know, Rodgers and Wilson do not seem to understand each other's timing at all. Lazard's Hail Mary catch was impressive. I'll give it that. It was. I was impressed. But that's also something Aaron Rodgers does. That's who he is. He has more completed Hail Marys than any other quarterback in the NFL. It's just fact. He does it very well. I'm happy for him. Cool. Wasn't good enough. So I'm confused. It was a penalty nightmare for both teams. These teams don't like each other. It's always that way. It was like 112 yards per team in penalties. It was pretty crazy. But the Jets are just sleepwalking. Just sleptwalk through that game. It was not good. There was no energy. It was like emotionally and physically they were just tapped out. I do not think adding Devontae Adams is going to fix the problems they currently have.
No.
I get it. We just keep throwing weapons at Aaron Rodgers. Weapons he wants. And I will say that is probably now the best receiver he has on his team. But we just keep throwing whatever Rodgers wants out of him, going, eventually you'll make the Super Bowl. If we give you enough, you'll do it. Guess what? They won't. Only once has an interim head coach made the playoffs, and it was fake. The season was more than halfway over, and they had a winning record when it happened. When John Gruden was fired of the
Oh
Raiders,
God, yeah.
they had a winning record. Their
I'm trying to
special
think.
teams coordinator came in, finished out the season. They made the playoffs and lost in the first round.
Yep.
That is the only time an interim head coach has ever made the playoffs.
And to be fair, he then chose not to do coaching. He chose not
Yeah,
to be a head coach.
he chose to return to special teams and went, F this, because the Raiders offered him the job. This is a bad idea. For the Devontae thing, I'm confused. Because I want to know what this man wants. You cannot honestly tell me that you think you'll win a Super Bowl with the Jets this year. I also think you're now doing exactly what you did going to the Raiders. You
Yeah.
left a team. Now, you were in a better situation in Green Bay than you are in with the Raiders right now. But you left a team to go play with your buddy.
Yeah.
You did that for a year. It didn't go well. Your buddy got bounced. So now you're looking at playing with a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, who's behind a terrible O-line, by the way, keeps getting sacked and laid out on his ass. And you think that's going to revitalize your career? That's going to get you where you want to be? How? How?
And
If you want to go somewhere, talk to the Chiefs, talk to the Bills. They could really use a number one wide receiver. I assure you. I know that they won. Wasn't good. Wasn't good. Give them a call. Josh Allen's not going anywhere. I will not stake my life on it, right? But I have a hard time imagining Aaron Rodgers sticking around another year. When you don't know who the head coach is going to be, he's not going to be allowed to have Hackett. He and Wilson don't know how to play football together. Mike Williams is just there, I guess, to do what? I'm not sure. Drop the ball and get the weirdest interception I've ever seen. The weirdest interception I've ever seen in my life. He's on the ground with the football. The guy reaches over the top of his helmet and picks it up. Like, what are you doing? It's just a train wreck. And so for Devontae, I'm like, what do you think you're going to accomplish with the Jets that this was yeah, that's where I want to go. I get the Jets making this move. We've given Rodgers everything else he wants. We have no other options. The moment Rodgers leaves, we're fucked. We're so fucked, there's no plan. We have no quarterback. We have no head coach. We have no offense. We don't know how to run the ball. Brees Hall was supposed to be God's gift, next gift to running backs. Can't run the fucking ball. We just fired our best defensive coach. We can't get Hassan Reddick signed, who, by the way, just called lawyers.
Yeah.
To get the fuck out of New York.
Switched agencies.
Like,
which I think that was another thing.
Plan? What's the plan? Sign Devontae Adams? Why? Who's that going to help? Who's that going to help? What's that going to fix? Not a goddamn thing. By the way, not a goddamn thing. Because now, just so we're clear, it's another reason for him not to throw the ball to Garrett Wilson. That's what that is. That's another reason. There goes that. Your most productive offensive player, Alan Lazard, there goes his targets.
It just doesn't make sense, like, at all. At all. Like, okay. As a GM.
Yeah.
Because this did come up, I feel like. At this point, this GM has to throw everything at a dartboard. Because he's been gifted the opportunity that most GMs never get. he's been able to do three things with this team. He's been able to try to do three. He's drafted Sam Darnold. That didn't go well.
Yeah.
He
Who's having
then
a field day in Minnesota.
had to get things right with Sam Darnold. Didn't. Chose, all right, never mind. Sam Darnold isn't the guy. We're going to go out, get our head coach, Saleh, and get our quarterback, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's gone. Saleh's fired. Okay, you now have the option. You weren't fired after that. You weren't fired after wasting the second overall pick. No. You were allowed a third opportunity to build this team. You were allowed to go out and get Aaron Rodgers and build a win now team with Rodgers, with Smith, with Tyron Smith. Revamp that offensive line. Bring in weapons, bring in all this shit to go win now. You have not done that. You are 2-4 this season. And now you're like, all right, what can fix our problems? What can fix our problems? Fire Saleh. That only mildly helps you. Okay, whatever.
I think it does.
I don't think it does either. I think that was a decision to make at the end of the season.
And the GM didn't make it.
No, probably not.
No, straight up, everyone in that building, the owner walked by the GM's office, didn't say a fucking word, just walked down to Saul's office and fired him. No one had any idea.
Well, that's intelligent.
I think Rodgers knew, but we don't have to get into that.
No.
But the GM was like, I don't know what the fuck's happening.
And there's just so much wrong with the situation that
hypothetical, right? Let's just for a moment. I feel mildly vindicated based off how the season is played out now. We are starting to see it kind of go the way you and I expected. We were mildly fooled by the Saints. I admit, for a moment, I was like, ooh, look, the shiny object. But we kind of thought there were like 3 coaches on the hot seat.
Yeah.
And it was Saleh, or 4, I'm sorry. Saleh, McCarthy,
Peterson, and
Peterson,
Sirianni.
and
I said Sirianni. I don't know if that's who
I was going to say Dennis Allen.
Oh, okay.
I think Sirianni definitely is after last week. But now we're seeing those teams, like, this is coming to fruition. Like, you get your ass kicked 51-20 something by the Bucks, there's a chance your head coach getting fired at some point. You just got embarrassed in London, which is your second hometown. Good chance Peterson's getting fired. Say none of those jobs come available, and you want to be a head coach in the NFL. Do you take the fucking Jets job?
No. No, I do not.
Like, who's in charge? Is it Aaron? Is it the GM? Is it Woody? You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's just so much wrong with this team that I can't say. And then also, quick note, because Schefter just got the conditions, and the Raiders are stupid. The conditions for it to become a second-round pick are as follows. Adams has to do, I believe, one of the following. Or has to do both. I'm not entirely sure. It does not specify. So he either has to do one of the following or both. Adams must be a first or second team All-Pro.
Okay.
That one's a little like
that might be difficult.
Might be difficult, but he could still do it. And then this is the one. Has to be on the active roster for the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl.
So it's a 5th round pick.
Yeah, it's a 3rd round pick.
5th round. or a third. It's a third round. There's no way. There's no way.
If
Maybe he makes second team All Pro. Maybe. But I doubt it.
he'd have to go off
Yeah.
the rest of the season.
And the way that O-line looks, I don't think that's happening.
There's so much here that I'm like, it's
Does it
not
say
smart.
anything about the cap? Or about
The
his...
Jets are assuming all of it. The Raiders are not paying a dime. Yep.
You know how expensive he is? Oh my god.
Yeah. The Raiders are not paying another cent of his contract.
that when no, fuck it. When sports franchises make desperate moves, it never works out. You pay Deshaun Watson $230 million, and it is clear that head coach fucking hates him. And wants nothing more than to bench him, and he can't.
Yep.
They will not let him. When you make desperate moves, you look and you come out like a bitch. Devontae is not cheap. That's $17 million. And you don't even know. You don't have a head coach. I could make the argument you don't have a quarterback. He's 40 years old. I just found out. I didn't know this. He doesn't tape his ankles. I don't care. Every time they look at him wrong, I'm like, he's going to need an ambulance. He can't stand upright.
It's been...
So you went and bought, that's what you did. You went and bought a $17 million wide receiver to fix this travesty. Fix your fucking O-line. Cut a check to Bill Belichick for $17 million to get on a plane. Do something. That's crazy. That's insane. That's insane. You absorbed all that. That's the only way. The Raiders wanted a second round pick. They said, okay, make it super conditional, but we'll pay his entire contract.
Yeah.
That's a GM expecting to be fired.
If you fail this season,
if he even did this. Because I'm not convinced of that. I'm not convinced that the GM for the Jets has any say whatsoever at this point in time. I'm not convinced of that.
He still should just be fired at this point then.
Like
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. You're right. It absolutely doesn't.
You failed 3 times. 3.
This is insane.
GMs don't fail 3 times and have a job.
No.
Especially when you have no success to be like, yeah, I've done this. Okay.
I did this thing.
Schneider, like John Schneider of the Seattle Seahawks, can point and be like, I built the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
From 5th round draft picks, essentially.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, you are currently having a little bit of a struggle.
You're struggling a little bit, but that's okay. We think you'll get there. We have evidence to suggest you know how to build a team.
And know how to work with a coach. And know how to do these things.
So a train wreck.
It's just not smart. It's just not...
I'm confused by teams that suddenly don't know how to run an NFL team. You know what I mean? It's like, is this your first day? Because I'm supremely confident that you, me, and Google could do a better job.
Yeah.
And just so we're clear, I don't know fuck all about being a GM. Don't know anybody's phone number. Don't know
Yeah.
anybody at all. Pretty confident I could do a better job. And I can assure you, I would not have given Aaron Rodgers the keys to my franchise, and I would not have absorbed all of Devontae Adams' fucking contract.
Yeah. And also, because this does have some importance, prior to them trading for Devontae,
Yeah.
they had come out and have allowed Hassan Reddick to go searching for trades. They've given him a small window to go find a trade partner. At this point, you can't afford him. Because, thank you, Tom Pelissero, who just did this, actually, because we're talking about Devontae Adams'
Yeah.
salary. His salary is $16.89 million. But he also gets $510,000 per game he plays as a bonus. Like,
And you know what? Hassan sitting at home watching that news break going, are you fucking kidding me?
and there's a little more, because technically, Pelissero did break it down. The Jets are only paying 11.6.
Because 5 games have already happened. 6.
No, they're paying 11.6 because there was some guaranteed money, and that guaranteed money has to be paid by the Raiders.
Okay.
So the Raiders are saving $11.6 million in cap, and then are carrying an $8 million dead cap into the next year.
Okay. That's still not cheap.
No, that's still...
And it's not like his contract ends tomorrow. Or like after this year. He still has another year, by the way. This isn't good business. This isn't It's a train wreck. It's a train wreck. And, by the way, after you blew it up,
Yeah.
you didn't even go beat the Bills at home.
Nope.
You
You
couldn't do
didn't
it.
even have...
And just so we're clear, the Bills did not play well.
Here's the issue. You didn't even have the firing your head coach lift.
Surge. Yeah, you didn't even have the moment of like, we rallied. That whole sideline really looked like you just wanted to get the fuck out of there. They all were like unimpressed.
I have real
Like,
concerns with
you
this
see
team.
guys when they're winning, they get excited, they get hyped. When they lose, Travis Kelce body checks Andy Reid. People throw helmets.
Brady spikes a tablet.
Yeah, nobody did anything. They were all just like, it's time to go home yet? Nobody cared. Nobody gave a shit. Not even Rodgers cared. Rodgers was just like, and I'm like, somebody care. Somebody do something.
This team.
Show me you have life.
For the second week in a row,
Good
we're having to break Jets news that just doesn't make sense.
That I don't understand, and it's not gonna fix it. It's not. No. This is not the problem. This is not the problem.
No, it's not.
Saleh was not your problem. I'm confused. Good luck. It's good luck.
Got for you?
The Bills now the lead in that division. I imagine it will stay that way. The Patriots are not good. I was impressed with Drake May's opening start. You know, it's the most offensive production they've had all year, but defense can't stop shit. So there's that. Dolphins, who knows if Tua will return, when he'll return, any of that. Offense, whole team, giant train wreck. And then the Bills don't look good. No. Keep being told he needs a number 1 wide receiver. I'm confused by that. He just doesn't. Josh does not look like Josh. I've been critical of Josh Allen.
I will say he looked better this game. I thought he played, from what I was watching of the game, he definitely had his legs more, I think, this game.
Yeah.
I think he definitely was showing a little more, but he still had some accuracy issues. I don't think he threw an interception in the game, which
No.
I will say this year, we did talk about this last week.
Yeah.
His lack of interceptions is definitely something to be, that's been our main criticism of him. But I feel like we're not seeing the explosives from him.
Yeah. And he just doesn't. Like, I think we are seeing a little bit more of his legs. He just doesn't look like Josh. I think that Joe Brady has said, hey, I want to take some pressure off of Josh. I kind of think he's a quarterback that needs a little pressure of go make the play. Because what I've seen of him and what I've always been impressed with, we talked about this. The thing that makes Josh Allen elite is the lack of fear.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's fear, but there's not the explosiveness in any regard. He's not
Yeah.
bulldozing through linebackers. We're not making crazy throw. We're not pushing ourselves to get the win. We're just kind of like, and what comes, comes, and what doesn't. It feels very lackadaisical for Josh Allen. And so I feel like
It,
you bought a really nice like snap-on wrench to tighten a dining room chair table.
yeah.
Like you have this really nice tool that you're doing mundane shit with.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. And that's how I felt watching it is he's playing quarterback.
He's
We're
playing,
not putting the ball in danger.
and he played better this
We
week
have
than he did last week.
yes, oh by far. We've won some games, but it's like because the rest of the division is trash, we can just
Coast.
mosey along through.
And honestly, if that works out,
You're probably right. You're gonna have a problem in the playoffs.
and I don't know if this team has that like switch.
Yeah.
Because there are teams, I believe, like the Chiefs, for example. I think the Chiefs could coast through the regular season, just kind of do their thing, make the playoffs, and then playoffs start.
And then they flip the switch and they're like, it's time, we go.
Like Brady could do that.
Yeah.
I'm not
I don't think one, a team that hasn't had playoff success,
success.
which the
Yeah,
Bills have not, can't. I also think whether it's the superstardom or whatever, the roster's overall lack of wow is like, okay, say we flip a switch. What does that really look like? Like, how incredible can you actually be?
I don't know.
And I don't think we have answers to that. I don't think 47 points on Jacksonville is the switch. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's not.
it,
So,
their team. I think they're in the conversation with. I feel like the Ravens in a way. Where to me, the regular season doesn't necessarily matter. It's
no,
what they
that's
do in the
fair.
playoffs.
I
But I will say, I think the regular season still will guide how I think of you come
yeah.
playoff time. For like the Ravens last year, you were the number one team. I expected more. But the Bills this year, I'm not expecting them to do well in playoffs based on how they're playing.
No.
So,
And that's, I would say, I mostly agree with you.
yeah.
The only point I have is, okay, not to, I feel like Chiefs, Ravens, maybe make the argument the Lions right now. I could even say maybe the 49ers, typically. Nope, we're going to leave them out. Your regular season doesn't matter.
Hmm.
In the sense that, like, you are a good team, you are a good roster, you have a good head coach, you will make the playoffs. It's then what do you do in the playoffs? The 49ers, I think, are a little funky because they have so many injuries, they're having so many problems. It's like, what is this team really? The Bills, because there were so many changes, and I think for the first time in years, this team doesn't look anything like if you picture a Lamar Jackson team, even if it's not the Ravens, he's like, I'm getting traded tomorrow. If you pictured a Lamar Jackson team, you have an idea what that looks like. You kind of know what a Patrick Mahomes team looks like. This is not a Josh Allen team right now. So your regular season has to matter a little bit so
Yeah.
that I see who you are. Because right now, if you were to play a playoff game tomorrow, I would think you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're going to get slapped again.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. I think again, like,
Like, they're one that I expect to see in the playoffs. And I had that thought when they got rid of Stephon Diggs, when they lost the pieces they lost, I was like, it doesn't matter. He's Josh Allen. They'll make the playoffs. Maybe this will be good for them. And it's just kind of been mediocre at best.
yeah. And I'm having like, yeah. No, that's just a good way to put it. Is it's
Like, it's not. I don't want to call it a travesty. Like, yes, you got slapped by the Ravens. That happens. People get slapped occasionally. I don't always hold that against you. And I've been critical of Josh Allen. But I want to clarify something you said last week. I said this to you. I am going to say it here. I don't think I'm overtly critical of quarterbacks. I think I'm critical of the narrative around quarterbacks because I have my opinions on Josh. I have my opinions on, I would say, 28 out of 32 quarterbacks. Maybe it's closer to 26. But it's the narrative that bothers me or excites me. But I'm not sitting here saying Allen is trash now. That's not what's happening. But I've heard for years that you're superstar, you're elite, you're these things. And the things that I see you do that make you that should not be wide receiver dependent. And they should not be offensive coordinator dependent. And that's how it feels right now. And watching them play, even when they win, I'm like, something's just not right. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look like
yeah.
Josh. It doesn't look like. And the defense isn't operating at an extremely high level, which is weird when you have a defensive head coach.
It's
Like, I just feel like you have this really nice tool set, and you're using it to fix Walmart furniture.
yeah.
That's not good enough. They should have gone and gotten Devontae. That I would have been happy with.
Yeah.
That I would have been excited about. That I think would have put the entire league on notice, and you'd be terrified.
Yeah. They're like the Bills are one. We don't have much time more to talk about them because we do have other stuff to get to.
Yeah.
But I feel like this game determined that division in a
Yeah.
way. Like I think the Bills now have it locked.
Yeah.
But I
You have.
also
Yeah.
but I also think the Bills are not playing to where I think they should be.
Not to really compete in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
Not
you will make it by definite. You have to.
Yeah.
But I just don't think, and I think that's unfortunate because when you have a superstar quarterback, Mahomes is not retiring. The window isn't as big as people think it is.
Yeah.
Dan Marino would have never told you he'll never go back. Like, I know I listen to guys all the time on podcasts and TV shows and talk shows that go, I'd have never told you I would have never won one or I would have never gone. This is Josh Allen's seventh year in the league. Now, yes, he's still in his prime, but how many times are you gonna rebuild this team for him and expect him to do something?
Yeah.
There's gotta be a level of consistency. And there has to be a level of eliteness all the way around. It can't just be we play mediocre football and that's gonna get us the win. It's not.
Yeah. Well,
Alright, well,
we're gonna move on to my game of the week. The
yeah, because Devontae Adams was traded to the Jets, and like, what the fuck?
Yeah, on to the Denver Chargers game. The Broncos lost to the Chargers 23-16. Um, this game compared to our last one, I'm gonna probably just quickly run through it because there's not a ton to talk about since
That's fair.
there's no trade that's shaking the world. Um, Denver, I feel like still hasn't opened up the playbook for Knicks. I thought last week we were gonna get there with
Yeah,
um, Knicks finally showing some frustration, kind of getting up in Peyton's face. It did not seem to really do much. Still haven't opened the playbook for him. He's still making plays. I'll give him that, but there's just not a lot for him to go out there and do right now. Kind of unfortunate. That offense is still kind of sputtering along. On the defense, they've been playing really well the past couple weeks. This one, I definitely think they could have played better. I think their defense just kind of looked eh. I know Patrick Surtain at one point left the game. I don't really know much more. I haven't heard any news about it. But I did see him walking into the locker room. I didn't see him return. I didn't really see anything. I watched the condensed replay of this game because I wasn't able to watch it live. They didn't mention anything beyond that. I didn't notice if he was back in, and I kind of just forgot to look it up until right now. Um, so and he's definitely been their best defensive player. So I mean, like if their defense was kind of eh afterwards, that kind of makes sense. But as a whole, I thought the team was just eh. The Denver Broncos, for me, get a meh for this game.
concussion.
Okay, that kind of sucks. But and then on the Chargers side, we'll get to the hardball situation in a second. Um, I feel like the offense played pretty well considering the Broncos defense has been really solid this year. Obviously, no Sertan towards the middle of that game, so like things got easier for Herbert, but I thought they played okay. Just a decent performance from them. Moved the ball all right, got some points. Nothing too spectacular, but you did what you had to win,
Yeah.
which is all you can really ask for. And on the defense, I could pretty much say the same thing. Nothing flashy, nothing spectacular, but you played how you had to win. I feel like that just describes how the Chargers played today or played Sunday was. We went out there, took care of business. We did what we needed to. Nothing flashy, but nothing really terrible.
You watched more of it than I did. How did Herbert look dealing with the ankle injuries and the bullshit?
You can tell he still has the injury of like,
He's so sore.
yeah, he's still feeling it. You can see it on some of his throws. Can't put as much weight on that foot, but I'll give him credit. He's a tough son of a bitch. Like he's going out there and playing, and I'll give him a ton of credit for that. And again, like I said, the Chargers just looked decent, whereas the
Yeah.
Broncos looked meh. And that kind of just how the game went. And then onto hardball. I don't know when it happened in the game. Kind of forget, but I want to say
First
like
quarter, second quarter.
yeah, first, second quarter, first half. Hardball leaves the sideline, goes to the medical tent, gets checked out. I think ends up going to the locker room for a little bit. Um, this was all because of an irregular heartbeat. I don't actually remember the actual name of what he has, but I want to say his beat was a little bit too slow. I don't know what the actual medical term for that is. Um,
Remember,
but
because I even watched his like press conference,
yeah,
and
and
it
he
was
said
like,
it.
oh, it was like an atrial flutter.
That, thank you. I think you're
Yep.
right. I'm like I did
Yeah.
the same.
I was like, I just saw this. Yeah, it's an
Um,
atrial flutter.
but yeah, irregular heartbeat, leaves the game, comes back, seemed whatever they did in the tent locker room, if they just calmed him down, if they gave him something, I don't really know. I have no information on that. But he came back to the sideline. He's fine. During his press conference, he didn't seem too shaken up about it. He was like, "This is something I have to deal with," um, and he seemed fine. Obviously, you were talking about John. John was pulled from his press conference. I believe they talked. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, Harbaugh's fine. Jim Harbaugh's fine. Um, just kind of a, I don't want to say scary moment, because at no point was he like unconscious or like hit the ground.
Yeah.
He was very conscious. He could walk. He could do all these things. I think it was just
Ba-
precautionary and
Based on my understanding, um, is this is something he knows he has,
yeah.
and he knew, and like he was on the sideline and went, "Oh, I'm having a moment." He stepped away. I don't know if they gave him anything or if they did anything. What I do know is they waited for his heart to hit sinus rhythm. That's just normal, regular beating.
Hmm.
And then he was allowed. He went back onto the field. And then I do know the doctor is making him wear a heart monitor for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Um, while just he's like it's something he has to deal with. He has dealt with. But because it acted up, the doctor does want him to wear a heart monitor for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But all in all, he's as okay as he was before the day started.
Yeah. So
So
that was pretty much the only interesting thing that happened in the game. I'm gonna be honest with you. But
that's fair.
it's good to hear that he's all right. Um, wishing him good health from here on out.
Yeah.
And then we were gonna do college football today, uh, but then the Jets decided to throw
Fuck it
another
up.
curveball at us. So we're gonna push college football to next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about college football.
Hopefully,
Um,
we'll actually get to it.
yeah, this is the first week I wanted to get to it, so
We'll throw 1,000 passes to offensive linemen if that's what it takes,
yeah, it was
or
so
or just because I can.
yeah, it was so fucking awesome to watch. It just,
Because I felt that way watching Chiefs Saints last week. I'm like, do you need hook and laterals from Kelsey to running backs to like sometimes they do these things. Like it's an ego sport, I get that. But I feel like there are moments teams and coaches that go, "You know what? Just because I fucking can.
yeah,
Just because I can. I'm going to. And you can suck it."
it
And not only am I doing this, by the way, but I'm doing it on Jerry Jones' 82nd birthday.
which the whole
So,
game I was just like, Dan Campbell, you are you are
I,
just
I feel like I felt like it was like a Dan Campbell pulled down his pants and stuck a piece of paper to his ass that went, "Kiss it."
yeah.
That's that's what it felt like. Like it was
Honestly,
just this weird, phenomenal embarrassment that made me really uncomfortable to watch, but I was really proud.
Yeah, I loved it. That's really like Dan Campbell. I think is a great head coach, and this kind of game showed it. It doesn't matter. I think you played to the final whistle. I understand
Yeah,
them. Just
yeah,
let's keep it going.
no
They did
reason to
end
let
up
up.
they did end up taking Goff out of the game, which I thought was intelligent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Um,
Why
especially
risk that?
especially when you just saw Hutchinson
Yeah.
earlier in
No
the
reason
game.
to lose both. I just have that's the team I'd kind of like to talk about next. We've talked about their teams or their organizations that, as a general rule, I have respect for, and then organizations that, as a general rule, I don't. I have the utmost respect for the Lions at this point. Like I
Yeah.
don't like I love the Ravens and I have great respect for the Ravens. Outside of them, I don't know that there's a team I have just genuine respect for more than the Lions.
Oh, 100%.
Because I think everyone sat there and went, is Dan Campbell really head coach material? You know, Jared Goff didn't win in LA. How's it going to work in Detroit? Detroit's a train wreck. Um, oh, you want to draft guys. You're not doing a ton in free agency. Like, what could you possibly be building? And for them to take all the negativity, all the doubt, go, fuck you, we don't care. We know what we're doing. We know how to build a winning franchise, and we're going to. And to compete at an elite level has it's been phenomenal to watch.
Yeah.
And it's happened without some dramatic change. Like that was rude. Um we didn't have to fire one of the greatest coaches of all time. We didn't have to sell the team. We didn't have to
To
blow it all up. We just went, you know what?
They made
If we
two
stay
changes.
focused and we pick our guys, we'll get there.
They hired Dan Campbell and they hired Brad Holmes as their GM.
Yeah. And you have to respect Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Like that motherfucker gets head coaching offers every year and he's like, I'm good.
I will say to start this season, I had questions. I still
Yeah,
do
I
have
felt like it
some.
took him a little moment
I
to get
still
going.
think I still think he's wildly misusing Laporta right now.
That's fair. I agree with that.
Like
I
they did
agree
have
with
the
that.
flea flicker to him, which is cool. But that's been like that was his only catch in the game. Yeah, Laporta needs to be used more.
Yeah.
Amon Ra needs to be used more. I just like there are things I'm questioning about Ben Johnson right now, but I still think at the end of the day, fantastic offensive mind.
Yeah.
Um, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, it was just giant FU. It
Yeah.
was giant,
It
and
was,
I enjoyed the shit out of it. I enjoyed the shit out of
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
it. The one I want to discuss, I
Oh,
suppose.
okay. Yeah, I just had the
The
one.
negative. Yeah, it's a negative. I figured we'd kind of trade back and forth if you done one.
I only had the one.
Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep.
All right, take the travesty, the train wrecks in the league right now. I think there's a good chance they come back from London and Doug Peterson gets fired. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. You can't be talking about culture changes now. You've been there a year and a half. Like it's too late. You are who you are.
And
I don't
also,
know that.
if you need a change in culture, you're just asking to be fired.
Yeah. Um, I don't know that you're the only problem, but something needs to change. London is kind of your hometown. You just lost to the Bears. If you lose again this week, I don't know that you last much longer.
Especially because you're going to lose to. There's 3 teams that are 1-5 right now,
Mhm.
and 2 of them are playing in London.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna be
So
honest, If the Patriots beat you, that's an
You're getting
issue.
fired. I think you're getting fired before your plane lands. Um, but we talk about kind of the train wrecks, and you can see everybody trying to do things. The Patriots made a quarterback change.
Yeah.
The Saints are like, let's give our rookie quarterback a shot with Carr hurt. Let's see what we have here. The Jets, while I disagree with how they've gone about it, have made changes. Everybody's trying things. I feel like when you watch the Browns, you're watching insanity. Like I feel like I've been given live feed to an insane asylum. Like that's how it feels. It's like I'm confused. I don't think anybody has actual control. It feels like the person in charge is supposed to be Stefanski. He clearly doesn't want Deshaun Watson as a quarterback. They're not letting him make a change. The O line does not give a crap. I kind of feel like, I'm going to be honest with you, it looks like the O line wants Deshaun to get fucked up.
I think stuff. I
Just
think
like,
I think a
oh,
plot
damn.
twist. I think a plot twist is Stefanski is pulling the offensive line together and is like, I need him to
Just
get hurt. I need him.
like,
I need
like
him gone.
the whole line is just like, oh shit, there goes the defense. Was I supposed to block him or were you? I no. Fuck that up. And Deshaun's yelling at these guys, and these guys are like, whatever. I don't care. Are you talking to me? Amari Cooper's like, I would love to go literally anywhere. Like, I would take the Steelers.
Man,
Sounds good. Let's do that.
if I'm the Bills,
Oh my god. Like, it's just a train wreck. Like,
there's just
I, and
so
okay,
much
you
wrong.
paid him. I get it, you paid him. You can't trade him. You can't cut him. But sit his ass down.
Here's the issue.
He doesn't
Okay,
have to play.
so they didn't fire their GM that made this decision to sign him.
Should.
They haven't yet. I'm gonna preface yet. Okay, but if so, right now the owner is putting all that money into him. So the owner's like, I don't want him getting sat. The GM has stuck his career on him. He's like, I need this to work, or else I'm fucked. He can't. He's like, I can't do anything because the owner's telling me can't really do anything, and
And poor Stefanski's sitting there going, well, I'm the one that looks like an asshole.
I'm the one fearing for my job. And then Stefanski's here like, well, the two people above me are all
Yeah.
can't really get rid of him. So here, he's our quarterback. He's our guy.
I don't think I've ever seen. We talk about coaches. I don't think I've ever seriously seen a quarterback lose a locker room. Like, I think Zach Wilson had his team rallied behind him better than Deshaun's does.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
I
It's
think
so
that
bad.
entire team is like, you're still here.
I'm telling
Why
you,
are we doing this?
I think Stefanski, as his way of trying to get Deshaun Watson out of here, is trying to let his O line just be like,
Be like, look, if
every
busted
once in a
coverage
while,
happens,
just
because I mean, it's crazy. It's insane. There's no. And the scary thing is, the genuinely scary part, his contract's not over. Not like this year's it. You just gotta suffer 1 year.
nope.
Like,
It's another like 2 or 3. It's so
I think it's
stupid.
2, but it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I would genuinely be trying to take as much of his goddamn contract and converting it into signing bonuses as I can. I would write off every fucking dollar.
Yeah.
To get this contract out. Or I'd sign him to like a 10-year, $2 deal
Dude, I have no idea.
and just try and take as much of it. Like, okay, it's 10 million here, 10 million, like, because you can't cut him financially. I mean, it's the stupidest decision anyone's ever made in their lives.
I don't know. Here's my thing. Okay, here's my argument.
Go.
Financially, it sucks. Cutting him is terrible.
Yeah, you can't. It's
But
50% of the cap if you cut
but
it.
you know, you cut him. You just try to keep what you can, and you blow this bitch up. You
I
restart.
mean, if you cut him, he is 172 million dead cap hit.
Jesus fucking Christ. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah,
Never mind. You just
I
can't.
didn't know that number either until a couple weeks ago. They
You
kicked
just can't.
they restructured it so much
You just. Oh
that if
my.
they cut him, he is 172 dead cap money for 1 year.
Okay, you can't. Oh my God, you can't. You just can't.
It's over 50% of the cap.
And no one will trade like it.
No,
You're
my God,
fucked.
no.
You're fucked. You're fucked.
I don't think. I mean, okay, maybe the Jets would do it because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. We took on all of his contract. Why not fucking Deshaun Watson's too? Let's just fuck it up further. But yeah, it's if you cut him, that's his dead cap hit is 172.
Jesus Christ.
And just for our viewers, the cap is 246 ish.
That was 260 this year.
Okay, maybe 260. Still over 50%.
It's still stupid.
That
Still,
leaves 90 million for 52 other players.
yeah, it's still ridiculous. You can't do anything with him. You have to just ride it to the end.
Yeah, you have to ride it out.
That's
I say sit his
ridiculous.
ass down. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I kind of think it's super shitty, and I'm not gonna get into it into my or any of that. But I kind of think the Browns were sitting there hoping Deshaun was about to get arrested. They were mildly like, somebody got.
Honestly, at this point, okay, I wonder if you're also sitting there as the Browns and you're like, we finally have our picks back.
Yeah.
If you're like, fuck it, just keep going. We're not gonna win. Even
And then
if you put
draft
in
quarterback.
even if you put in Jameis Winston, you're not gonna
How?
make the play. Like you're not.
Yeah. So just
You
ride it out and then draft a quarterback and then sit Deshaun. The problem I would have, we talked about, I don't think we did it here. We might have mildly had this conversation here. Good quarterbacks to sit behind or sit in the room with.
he's not one of them.
I wouldn't want him anywhere near my fucking rookie quarterback. I'd be like, don't talk to him. Don't even look at him. You practice over there.
You practice with Winston.
No, Winston. Yeah, my rookie can practice with Winston. Deshaun,
Yeah, that's my point.
go over there.
The rookie can hang out
With
with Jameis Winston.
that little shitty patch of grass next to the dumpsters. Bye. Well, I'm not going to show up. Cool, then I don't have to pay you. Let's do that. Fuck out of here. Like,
Man,
I wouldn't want him anywhere near my rookie.
there's just
It's a shit show.
part of me, okay, because we'll talk about college football later, but there's not quarterback prospects in this year's draft that I think are worthy of the pick the Browns are going to have.
Okay.
The Browns are going to be picking top 5 at this point.
Yeah.
There's not a quarterback in this draft currently that I think is worthy of a top 5 pick.
Okay.
There are some first round guys in this conversation. I just don't think there's anybody.
Don't think there's one that early.
So, and I think a huge mistake a lot of teams make is drafting a quarterback because they're desperate.
Mm-hmm.
If the Browns are true, like, this is saying a lot. If the Browns want to be intelligent, which they haven't been, they wait a year. You keep Deshaun. It sucks. You already have to. You already have to do that.
You have to keep him regardless.
You draft a superstar, top 5.
Travis Hunter.
You draft a Travis Hunter. You draft a, I don't know what else that team needs right now. They could use a corner.
Jesus. That's what they need.
Yeah.
They need Jesus.
But you draft a superstar for your team going forward. You ride it one more year with Deshaun. You have another top 10 pick in a draft class that I think will have more top tier quarterbacks. Now, that's remain to be seen. But in that class, you might have Arch Manning coming out. You might
Yeah.
have a couple other guys out there.
Or you trade it to a team a little bit more desperate than you.
Yeah. There are
Build up
options.
some things and then go out. I like Arch. I like that idea.
Like, you have
I
options.
don't know if he'll come out that year.
I don't either. There's still questions into next year's QB class, but like, man, I just don't have an answer for the Browns were either trying to trade a top 5 pick away this year and maybe taking a quarterback later and trying to get some capital out of it
Yeah.
to a desperate team, like a desperate team, which I don't know if any team's going to be desperate that isn't already in a position to get a quarterback. That's the issue.
Yeah. Like, I think all of the teams that need a quarterback are going to have a top 5 pick. And the only other team that's going to be in that position, I think, is in the same boat. You either draft a superstar or you trade it away.
Yeah.
But I think the Panthers are going to have a top 5 pick.
The Patriots will.
The Patriots will, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
So you either draft a superstar
Which I think
or
they
you
will.
trade it away.
They need talent on that roster.
Yes, I do think then they can trade back a few to get like a wide receiver, a tight end, an O
I
lineman.
don't know if Travis Hunter staring you in the face, or Tetairoa McMillan,
That's the
or
one that I'm like, I think if he's on the board, you stay where you are.
which right now he's hurt, so who knows where his stock.
Yeah.
There's just so many questions with this class in terms of like quarterbacks, positionally. It's gonna be really interesting come draft night. But right now, man, like if I'm a quarterback needy team, I don't want to be in the top 10
Yeah.
because there isn't a quarterback I'm taking in the top 10 right now. Now, there's still a lot of football to be played. There are players I think could easily play themselves into the top
Into
10.
it. They're just not there yet.
They're in the top 20. I'd be willing to take one probably like 15.
Colin Cowherd.
Yeah.
For our viewers, you knew. I'd thinks right now it's Shador.
Shador.
Is the number one. Is the lock for number one.
Uh, I see it. He's definitely playing good ball, but like there are other quarterbacks I think that could.
I'm not as versed on college football as you are, and I know we are going to talk more about this next week. Shador comes with a drama problem.
And
And the NFL has evolved. They don't deal with it the way they used to. They don't put up with it the way they used to.
that's my like Shador's one. You're because okay, a lot of people will make the argument Hunter might be an issue because he's coming from that Colorado team. Hunter's been very humble on that Colorado team. He doesn't tend to be in the
Well,
media
and okay,
when you're.
there are people that when they get diva-esque or they get uppity, you're like, maybe you've earned that right. You play that many snaps, you do that much. Maybe you've earned that. Like, but most wide receivers, defensive, they don't come into the league like that. That is like I'm not wide receivers turn into divas, absolutely. But quarterbacks are the ones they kind of come in a little more. Look at me, and the league has to be
Because
like, shut up and sit the fuck down.
my fear with like a Shador right now is
Uh
he's,
huh.
I don't want to say Manziel, but that's kind of how I'm feeling of like
Gotcha.
attitude. He's not the partier Manziel was. He's not the like off like that kind of off the field issues, but like
But it's kind of the who are you to tell me anything?
yeah,
And I don't think he was phenomenal. I'm not discrediting that. But Shador does not just come with Shador.
yeah,
He comes with Prime. And that's a whole thing that you now got to deal with.
yeah. So there just is some questions there, but
Yeah.
we'll talk more about college football next week
So yeah,
and get
I just
into the QB debate.
situation.
Yeah, that's my point. Is
Um
I'm gonna get into like a lot of the shit in
yeah.
college football.
So yeah, I think they're trying to Oh, and then I had one more thing I wanted to touch on before we move on, or before we kind of go through just our games next week. Mini preview.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Justin Fields
Okay.
because I was criticized last week for being very hard on Justin.
Yeah.
I recognize that I have been. I remember last year saying, I don't know why I'm willing to give Zach Wilson the benefit of the doubt because he plays for a train wreck of an organization. But I wasn't willing, I was more hesitant to give Justin Fields the benefit of the doubt. I still do not have an answer there. I really don't. I don't know what it is about, but when I watch him play,
I will say
I cannot buy in.
this week was weird for me because if
Go
you
ahead.
just look at the like you look at the score of the game
Yeah,
and you'll sit there and go, Steelers played well. 32
yeah,
points. That's a solid offensive game. But then you like look at Fields' stats. He only threw for 145 yards.
yeah.
He had 2 rushing touchdowns, I believe. Let me confirm that. Yeah, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So I mean, like that's good. You put the ball in the end zone, but I just don't feel like he did anything in this game. Like it was a lot of Najee Harris. Um, Now part of that is I think his receiving core is just not good. I don't like him. I don't like the core he has. I think Pickens is an issue, and considering
Yeah,
how he's like your only target,
yeah.
that's a not a recipe for success. But
I real Go ahead.
um, so I'm like this game. I think the past 2 weeks because he didn't play well last week either. The past 2 weeks we are kind of starting to see the Fields we saw in Chicago.
Yeah,
Really good rushing ability. Accuracy is an issue. Throwing the ball down the field is an issue.
ball's an issue. I think for me, even if I write off the time with the Bears, the thing I'm struggling with right now with Fields is I feel like I'm not seeing anything different with the Steelers. You and I talked about this that I compared the Broncos post Manning to the Steelers post Roethlisberger. That the offense has gone to crap and they're a defensive led team. Now the edge goes to the Steelers
Yeah.
because at least they haven't been rotating head coaches as well. But eventually, being above 500
Isn't good enough.
with a dominant defense that as the season goes gets hurt because that's normal for defensive players. They play hard. That's normal for the Watt brothers. They play harder than anybody. And an offense that can't get it done is not good enough. At some point, as an organization, you have to have higher standards.
Yeah.
I get moving on from Pickett. You were like, you know what? He's not the guy. That's fine. I respected giving Justin Fields a shot. It was cheap. You're not really paying him anything other than the league minimum. You gave him a shot. But I am watching this team play, and I'm like, once again, we are settling for a mediocre offense, expecting our defense to carry us, and they can't do it forever.
The one.
And yes, hold on.
Oh, well,
He has moments. He has games where I'm like, maybe that's the potential. My concern, and I think this is what I've seen, is it's kind of like Anthony Richardson. Potential is your ceiling. It's not your standard.
Okay, yeah.
Like that's what I'm not comparing the two in talent or anything. It's vastly different. Mahomes, elite is the standard. Lamar, elite is the standard. Josh, we're confused by Josh Allen right now because elite isn't what we're seeing. Burrow, the defense is playing like crap,
And yet he's
but
still.
he's playing elite. Now, this last game wasn't that. There were some other things happening. But when you watch Burrow play, you expect elite. But when potential, just potential, not elite, not great, is your ceiling, not your standard, I cannot buy in. So, yeah, you'll have great games. You'll have moments where I'm like, oh crap, there it is. But you have to be consistent. And it's not that.
No. And
And I don't see that even his rushing level.
yeah.
There are moments I'm like, oh, it's great. And then there are moments I'm like, oh, you got sacked 5 times.
And really, the issue I'm having right now is I don't think this. I think the Steelers are just in a terrible situation. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you're going to win probably 9 games.
Of course.
You
Of
might
course.
make it to 10. With Justin Fields, you might get 10, where Kenny Pickett got you 9.
Yeah.
You might have the one game where Fields just puts the team on his back and actually wins. You might have one. The issue I'm having right now is you're going to be middle of the pack again. This year is slightly better. I don't even want to say better. This year has quarterback options in the middle of the pack, but you're drafting a middle of the pack quarterback option.
Yeah.
Who I'm not going to say is better or worse than Fields.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you that whoever you draft at that position is better or worse than a player that's been in the league.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
And a starter for 4 years. It's not like he was Jordan Love sitting on the bench for 3. Now we have to give him a little time.
Yeah. So,
Like,
you might draft, let's just say, Shadur Sanders. Let's just.
okay. Yeah.
Just a boxed example.
Good hypothetical.
You draft Shadur. And he comes in the league and has issues. Has the character issues, has the attitude issues, has issues.
Yeah.
You're back to where you started with Fields. You're back to square one.
You're back to post Roethlisberger.
Yeah. So I'm not saying. I really think the issue with the Steelers is there's no way for this team to get better without getting worse.
No, and that's, I mean, what it took the Broncos And I'm still waiting for them to open up the playbook.
Yeah. I to
I
me, that's the thing. I don't think the Steelers can get better without getting worse.
worse.
So, like, okay, when
Be-
TJ Watt retires, I
So
think,
I think this is a really valid point you're making. I'm not trying to interrupt you. But right now, it's like the definition of insanity, but it's working. Or it's more like this self-fulfilling prophecy.
yeah,
If we put everything into our defense, we'll make the playoffs. Technically, you are correct. Do you want to win a playoff game though?
because that's really, yeah.
Is like, but this keeps working, so we just keep rolling it back.
And the issue I'm having is you can't sit there and there's nothing you can do. Like, there's no quarterback you can go get in the league right now that I feel like like that takes you to that level.
To the next level.
There's no available. Let me put it this way: there's no available quarterback in the league that takes you to there. Uh, I'm having a thought,
Hot
and
take.
I know
Hot
where you're
take.
going with this.
It's a terrible idea. Do you go get Bryce Young?
No, no, I do not.
Okay,
Because I
you don't. I don't. Do they?
because here's my thing. I think that puts you in the exact same situation you've been in. Of you take a shot at a developmental guy that you're not entirely convinced is going to work. You go 9-8 because your defense carries a developmental guy, and you never actually develops. He never gets to where you want it to be.
So agree with all of that, which is why I think they would do it.
Okay, I don't think they would.
Like, no, I think they're more likely to re-sign Justin Fields
Yeah,
to at least 2 years.
there is another option
What are you thinking?
because we don't know what they're gonna do yet.
Oh,
If if the Vikings choose McCarthy, Darnold will
go
be
get
available.
Darnold. That is not where I thought you were going, but I like that. Way better than where I went.
Okay,
Way better.
but and I'm gonna be honest with you. Darnold's good, and he's playing really well. But this is one season of Darnold playing well,
Yeah,
and he's playing well for a offensive head coach.
yeah. You would need the right coordinator. You would need the right,
And
and I don't think that's Arthur Smith.
I was gonna say, and Arthur Smith isn't.
I It's similar, but I think less bad. But I think you would have maybe done that this year. Go get like Trey Lance.
Okay, yeah,
He's a 6th round pick at best.
it's not the worst. It's not the
And
best.
we don't really know. Like we know, but we don't know.
But my issue still is for this team to get better, you can't
I don't I don't
go
disagree
for
with the point
that kind of
at
player.
all. I just
Because to me, Trey Lance will be the same as Fields.
No, I completely agree with you. I do think that's what they're going to reach for right now. Is either a really young guy that they think they can fix. Why they would think that, I have no idea. Like exactly what we're seeing right now. It's either the Justin Fields of the league,
Or still
the
Russell Wilson's.
Bryce Youngs, or the Russell Wilsons, the guys that really should just retire.
Yeah.
But
And
we
in
keep
some,
seeing Joe Flacco take the
I was gonna
field
say,
and
in
have
some
success.
sick twist of fate, that's who they get next year.
Oh my god. I don't know. I'm not trying. Like he went to the Browns. I get that. The Steelers hits different. When you were a Raven,
No,
though, I think that hits different.
I
I
was
don't know
more
that.
kidding, but
Like
like,
I don't know if he could, and I don't know if they'd offer. They'd be like, "Fuck you."
I don't know. Tomlin might finally be like, well,
So that's fair. He'd be like, "I'm really tired of that jackass."
so you're coming here and
Sitting
you're
on the other
just
side of the field. I was supposed to face Anthony Richardson last week, dick.
yeah. But my like, there just is nothing for this team to do to
Yeah.
get better other than draft a quarterback. But they're not going to be in the right position to draft a quarterback.
Nope, I completely agree. I completely
So
agree. And I think it's a problem. I think it's a problem.
yeah,
And
unfortunately,
that's my struggle. I want to clarify.
I'm starting to get to that point with Fields though, where I'm like,
Yeah,
it's not,
it's just not there.
it's just going to be the
I
same. You might win one more game than you did last year.
and I'm sorry. I wanted it to be the Bears. I did. I wanted it to be.
And
I
part
just
of me
don't
thinks it
think it
kind of
is.
was the Bears, but
I don't
part
think
of me,
they did him any favors. And I can't help but wonder if you'd been on a competent team to start, could some of these issues have been genuinely corrected? I feel like
it might be too late.
now you're putting a, a band-aid on an amputated arm. Like technically, but I think now it's too late. Like when you don't have these fundamentals corrected and you spend 3 years in the NFL, I don't know that Arthur Smith can fix them or that a coordinator can.
Yeah. Well, it, yeah. I'm starting to get to that point where I'm starting to kind of agree, but because I'm to the point where I just do. I think Fields, it's just gonna be more of the same
Yeah.
for them. It's just gonna be more 9-8, 10-7. You make the playoffs. You're bounced in the first round. You don't get better. You don't get worse. You just
Yeah.
ride the wave.
No, no, I agree.
It's unfortunate.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to next week.
Yeah. And then
Uh,
you want to start with Ravens?
I assume, unless you had any other thoughts about last week.
Not really. It was just a week in the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Tell us about next week.
All right. I'll start with Seattle since they play Sunday, 10 a.m. in
Okay.
Atlanta. Um, we'll get more into the details. I'm Nagasaki's ton. This is gonna be, I really think, a make or break a game. Like if you
Yeah.
lose four in a row, I think your season's done. I think the season's done after this point. I don't know if there's anything they could really do. Um, which is hard to say considering we're tied for the lead in the division, but we've lost 3 in a row, whereas the 49ers have won 2 in a row, I believe.
Yeah.
No, they lost the week prior. I don't know. But either way, like the 49ers have been more on the up, whereas the Seahawks are definitely on the down. So to me, this game kind of matters. But yeah, I think if the Seahawks lose, that is kind of just the season there. If they win, we might still have hope. But it'll definitely be an interesting game. I'll definitely go into far more detail on our preview when I know
Yeah.
more. And then yeah, so I the things to watch for, I guess, is like really run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and defense needs to improve. Defense needs to play better. Atlanta has been running the ball well with Bijan and Algier. That's going to be something to watch. Is how well do Atlanta run the ball on us? Yeah, so I think the run game on both sides of the ball is still to watch. Ravens, what we got?
Ravens at Bucks. Monday Night Football.
Ooh,
Um, I guess we'll see. I know their stadium got hit pretty hard, so hopefully there are no changes there. But it is Monday Night Football. They do share the Monday night slot, which I'm, much like you were, mildly annoyed by. I,
Especially, I don't think it's a good game.
like you said, I'll get into it way more during our preview. But it's the pass defense. It's the only thing I'm looking for. Um, I also think this is one of the better defenses they've gone up against. So can their offensive production continue? But it's the pass defense. That is where Baker and the Bucks are rolling right now. Just slap the crap out of the Saints. So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I don't love, but I also love primetime games. So we'll see. But yeah,
Alright.
I'll get into it way more during my preview video. So make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah. And then
Who
for
is your game of the week?
my game of the week, I'm going with a really, hopefully, fantastic game. Detroit at Minnesota. Division rivals.
Yeah.
Detroit's 4-1. Minnesota's 5-0. Something tells me this game is going to be good, and I just want a good game, guys. My picks of the week have been really
Yeah.
so I'm just hoping this is a good football game. Two great teams going at it. Obviously Minnesota being 5-0, with Darnold playing the way he is, that team's coming off the bye, so they should be pretty healthy. Detroit just smacked the shit, just embarrassed the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Have put 40 points up two games in a row. I think both teams are just looking to kill each other this game, so I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be a fun one. Obviously, a division rival, so it means a little more. And I think this might be a hot take, but this could really determine who wins that division in a way. I think if
Yeah.
Minnesota goes 6-0, it's Minnesota's. The division's there for Minnesota. If Detroit gets this one, they're tied with a tiebreaker going to Minnesota, or not to Detroit with
Yeah.
the win. So I think it'll just be a really fun, interesting game, and I'm really looking forward to it. This game's at 10 a.m. Sunday, so unfortunately, I have two in the same block, but that's how it be sometimes.
That's how it be. All right. My game of the week. You know. I looked and I looked and I looked, and when it came down to it, I picked Cincinnati at Cleveland in the 10 a.m. block.
Okay.
No, I do not think this will be a good game at all. I don't. I do have real questions about the Bengals. That's kind of my only, I don't want to say concern, but I do think they're really the only, despite the record right now for everybody, the only, I think, real roadblock between the Ravens and the AFC North. Um, I think they've been getting better. I don't think this last game was indicative of that. But Cincinnati did get some defensive players back. Cleveland, to its credit, does have a good defense. And Myles Garrett and them, they tend to take the Bengals pretty personally. Um, it's kind of like Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Baltimore, Pittsburgh are kind of the two main rivalries in the division. So I do want to see how both of those teams kind of stack up against each other. The Ravens haven't played the Steelers yet. I think this will be the best quarterback they've faced. So I just kind of want to see how this shakes out. I don't expect it to be a great game. I'm really watching it for information for the Ravens, is honestly what this is about. It's an interdivision matchup that has the potential to get the best out of each other. And that's kind of what I'm looking for to see what that looks like.
Nice.
So 10 a.m. Eastern, so 1 p.m. Pacific
No, that would be
is
10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern.
yeah, all that. But he just said, "I'm sorry, um, I'm tired. I've been doing really well. Leave me alone." So, um, so that. Um, so that's just gonna kind of be the thing I keep the most eye on. I do think though that I agree. I think Minnesota, Detroit will probably have a little bit more of my attention, but I will make sure to come in with plenty of analysis on Cincinnati, Cleveland. But I don't know, it's just kind of another week of like we're going to see how individual teams go. The matchups themselves, I'm less excited about.
Yeah.
Like it's football, I enjoy it. I want to see how each team does individually, but there aren't matchups that seriously excite me.
No.
So I picked relevance instead.
I picked the matchup that excites me, and that was the
That's
only one.
that's fair.
And knowing my luck, it'll be a shit game somehow. It'll be,
Yeah, you've not had luck with that.
but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But I think that does it. I think that's it for
Awesome.
us today. Um, I've been Brendan,
And I've been Dallas.
and this has been Floxness Podcast. Thanks y'all for joining us for another week. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you want to see. And like we said in the beginning, watch out for a lot of the new videos that are going to be coming out and a lot of exciting things. So thanks y'all for joining us on this ride, and
Yeah.
have a good one.
Bye.